And now it's time for the ridiculous.
What kinds of things make people piss?
And how many suitors exactly has she dismissed?
Siri, what are some locations for a lover's tryst?
Oh, darling, surely there must be a list.
A list?
A list?
A list?
A list?
You're telling me it's all here on this bleeding list? That's preposterous and ludicrous.
Well, actually, it's all quite
Ridiculous, ridiculous, ridiculous.
Welcome to The Ridiculous. I'm Sally Brooks.
And I'm Jen O'Neill, and this is a podcast about listicles and such.
Good. Okay. I think it's an improvement on last week.
Okay.
And I'm proud of you. I feel like you really worked on it this week.
I was like, I will not come unprepared this week. Listicles and such.
I mean, it's an accurate description.
And other things.
And
List
such.
of things.
Oh, man. How are you doing today? How was your week, Jen?
I'm good. I had a good week. You know,
Yeah?
I'm trying to think if there's anything exciting to report. Not really. Not
No?
yet. Something
No,
exciting will happen, and I'll report it back soon.
I have
What about you?
My exciting thing to report is that last night, so I've told you about this. I joined a smutty book club.
Yes.
And I tried to get you to join and you refused because
Listen, it's not that I don't like books or smut or smutty books. I just have so much. I can't take on one more thing.
That was you were like, can I say no? And I was like, yeah, of course you can say no.
But I do have to say, when you mentioned going to your smutty book club party the other day, I was a bit jealous, and I rethought my stance.
Well, listen,
I was like, should I join?
It's anytime you would like to join, you're welcome. We don't even all read the same book necessarily. It's a very much like, do what you want. Maybe read something in this genre. Like, we read like, like a fantasy romance and then like a whatever romance. Yeah, it's very loosey-goosey. It's just an excuse to like hang out once a month.
And talk about smut.
Smut.
What's the last book you read?
So the book for this last month was it was Tessa Bailey's something happened here, something. I can't remember the name of it.
Obviously.
You've read it. It's actually it was based on the character of Alexis from Schitt's Creek.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's like about like a socialite who moves to like this like, fishing village and meets a crab fisherman. Because we were talking about like, what is the most ridiculous thing that people can turn into smut? And we are like, crab fisherman. Mm-hmm. And she did it. She nailed it. But so we each brought, for our like gift exchange, we each brought a like old school smutty romance book like that we got at the thrift store. So one that's like bodice ripping on the cover.
Yeah.
And then that's the assignment for next month is to read your book that you got.
What did you get?
Mine is called 7 Nights of Sin.
Can you show us the book cover?
Yeah. Okay. Hold on. Just give me 1 second. I'll go get it. Okay. I lied. Okay. It's called 7 Nights in a Rogue's Bed.
Oh, wow. Wow.
This is the cover. And let me just read you a little snippet of the back.
This is amazing.
Okay. Okay. So this is desperate to save her sister's life, Sidoni Forsyth has agreed to submit herself to a terrible fate. Beyond the foreboding walls of Castle Craven, a notorious, hideously scarred scoundrel will take her virtue over the course of 7 sinful nights. Yet instead of a monster, she encounters a man like no other. And during this week, she comes to care for Jonas Merrick in a way that will defy all logic, even as a dark secret she carries threatens them both.
Oh my God. So the premise is in order to save her sister's life, she has to have sex with a scoundrel for 8 days?
7
nights?
Only 7.
7
only
nights?
7 nights. Maybe it's probably 8 days, 7 nights, right? I mean, that's how it usually works.
And then he ends up being hot. Is that the thing?
Yeah, I assume that's it. So I was like, I was like,
Is
wait,
the-
how many pages in do I have to skip to for there to be like sex?
How many
And
did you figure it out?
well, I couldn't. I mean, I skipped to, I think I looked at like page 61 was the first page I flipped to, and I was like, oh, okay. Um, there is the line that he nibbled, licked at the seam. And I was like,
Um,
oh.
Oh my God.
Woo.
But have you gotten to the part yet where they explain how having sex with this man for 7 nights will
No.
save her sister's life?
No,
What scenario? What's the scenario?
I mean, I just got it last night.
Okay.
So
Well, I
I
cannot
haven't
wait.
had a chance to dive into it, but I will keep everybody updated.
Please do. Next week, I expect a report, a Smutty
Yes.
Book report.
I mean,
Look,
I will
this-
have at least gotten through one sinful night
Okay, good.
in a rogue's bed. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
You know what? I'm tempted to join.
I mean,
but-
come on. It's low pressure. It's real low pressure. You
It
don't
sounds low pressure.
you don't have to read. It's all people. It's mostly everybody, people you know from going dancing. So
Oh, okay. Good.
yeah.
Sounds good. Well, now we have a new element to our show. I told you it was lists and such. And the new element to our podcast is
Right.
Sally's Smutty Book Report.
Exactly. Happy to be of service.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. All right, let's get to our lists.
Let's do it. I think you're first this week, right?
I am first, and I'm gonna
Okay.
switch gears from my smutty book report. And it's like the holiday season, and so I thought today I would do a really nice listicle. So mine is from Reader's Digest, and it is 30 stories about the touching kindness of strangers that will make you tear up.
That's nice.
So get ready to cry, you
I
whiny
love
little bee.
crying. I will. They don't know that we call each other whiny little bitch.
We do. That's true.
That's me and Sally's pet name for each other when we communicate. We always start with, "What's up, you whiny little bitch?"
That's
how we greet each other.
I can't remember why we started that, but
I think because we were just like always calling each other to complain about something. You know what I mean? Like we call each other to vent, and then it just became like, hey, whiny little bitch, how's your day?
Yeah, you whiny little bitch.
Stop. Friendship.
This is friendship. That's just, don't we all do that? Okay, so here we go. Okay, this one is The Man at the Market, sent in by Leslie Wagner. She said, when the supermarket clerk tallied up my groceries, I was $12 over what I had on me. I began to remove items from the bag when another shopper handed me the $20 bill. Please don't put yourself out, I told him. Let me tell you a story, he said. My mother is in the hospital with cancer. I visit her every day and bring her flowers. I went this morning and she got mad at me for spending my money on more flowers. She demanded that I do something else with the money. So please, here, accept this. It is my
Aw.
mother's flowers.
Okay, I'm a little bit already
I'm
on
a
the
little-
verge. Okay.
I'm I got the
That's sad.
goosebumps in that one.
Mhm.
Okay. Hopefully they get dumber from there. Okay. And the next one
I don't
is
want to
Jim.
cry.
I don't want to cry.
It's like 1:00 on a Friday. Come on.
That's why we quit doing the true crime podcast.
No.
Really, we don't want to
Okay.
cry anymore. Okay, so this one is this is from Miranda McLean. She said, my neighbor Jim had trouble deciding if he wanted to retire from the construction field until he ran into a younger man he'd worked with previously. The man had a wife and 3 children and was finding it difficult to make ends meet and hadn't worked in some time. The next morning, Jim went into the union office and submitted his retirement paperwork. As for his replacement, he gave them the name of the struggling young man. That was 6 years ago, and that young husband and father has been employed ever since.
Oh, that's really sweet.
It's really sweet. Okay. While going through a divorce, my mother fretted over her new worries: no income, the same bills, and no way to afford groceries. It was around this time that she started finding boxes of food outside our door every morning. This went on for months until she was able to land a job. We never did find out who left the groceries, but they truly saved our lives.
That is so sweet. And I love I love that they did it anonymously.
Yeah,
So
I
as
do
not
too.
to like embarrass her or to make her refuse it.
Yes, and like so that because it's like, well, this is a neighbor probably, and like it's like, yeah, you just don't want to have. I don't know. That I just think
A
that's
lot
so
of people
classy.
are proud and they don't want to accept. Like I would have a hard time accepting that. I'd be like, I'm fine, I'm good. Like Jim Carrey actually just there said something recently regarding like all these people that help, all these TikToks and Instagram posts of people helping the homeless. And he's like, listen, the most like embarrassing thing that you could do to a person is or the most embarrassing thing for a person is to have to accept charity. And when you put a camera in their face while they're doing that, that's like a real fuck you. I'm paraphrasing. Jim Carrey didn't say it exactly like that, but it was just like the kind thing to do is to not turn it into content.
Right.
Like you just be kind.
Yeah, I'm of two minds about that. I 100% agree. I agree, and I find those kind of videos really hard to watch for the most part, because you're like, come on, like. But I also know that like the reason those people get the money to give to people is because they have all those followers, and so they donate to these people, and so it is a way of crowdsourcing money to give directly to people. So I mean, I think there probably has to be a better way to go about it, and it would be amazing if people just like, if we didn't have to fundraise so that somebody had enough food to eat, like that was just, we took care of them as a society. But yeah, I mean, I agree. Like I think it would be really, I think it's pretty distasteful, but also it's like, that's how you get to money.
Yeah, but sometimes it's something as little as like a burger. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like, and you get all these followers and all this content and praise because you bought 2 burgers and gave one to a homeless person. It's like, that's so just, it feels just so degrading actually to the person that they're giving the food to. Just give it to them. I don't know.
No, I agree.
It's, it's not all black and white, Sally, as they say. There are gray areas.
People say that.
It's not.
But I gotta be honest, I don't like it. I want it to be one or the other. Good, bad, I'm on with my life. Okay, I forgot all about the rule preventing liquids in a carry-on luggage. So when I hit security at the airport, I had to give up all my painting supplies. When I returned a week later, an attendant was at the baggage area with my paints. Not only had he kept them for me, but he looked up my return date and time in order to meet me.
That is so sweet, and that's a real selfless act, especially if you work at the airport. You're just trying to get through the day.
Yeah, I think that's pretty amazing.
Really amazing.
And I also know, I mean, God, painting supplies are so expensive. I told you how I was like, I want to try watercolors, and I went to the like art supply store that's next to the Laughing Skull, which is the comedy club that Jen and I work at a lot in Atlanta. And it was like a daytime show, so it was finally open because it's usually never open. And so I like, asked the person, I was like, is there like a good small like beginner's watercolor that's like a step up from like a kid's watercolor? And she was like, oh yeah, this one is really popular. This is great. And I didn't even think about it. I just got it. And it was $75. And I just was like, oh my God.
For one color?
No, it was for like a little palette.
But
it had like, I think there's like 10 colors in it, but still I was not expecting. I mean, this was like a new hobby. I've never watercolored in my life.
Listen, nobody's watercolor is worth that much money. No kidding.
Nobody's watercolor.
I'm joking.
So wait, do you mean you don't want a personalized watercolor for Christmas? Is that what you're saying?
I do. I actually enjoy all of your arts that you make for me. I actually had a latte this morning in the mug that you made for me.
Oh, I should make you a new one. That was like one of my first mugs, probably.
You should. I need a new one
Yeah.
because it's now tea season where I drink hot tea all day long and I run out of mugs
Would you like a tall
every
mug?
day.
How do you like your tea mugs? Yeah.
Just
I don't
like
know.
a regular mug.
Just a mug? All right.
Just a mug.
All right. I'll make that up for you. No problem.
But I need it to have a portrait of your face on the side of it. Could you do that?
Yes, I can.
I needed to have a portrait of you reading 8 Days or 8 Nights with a Scoundrel.
It's gonna have a portrait of me. Okay, it's gonna have like this
but your
like
face
bodice
painted
ribbon,
on
but
it.
my face.
Okay, that's what I want for Christmas. I want a mug with a picture of you having your bodice ripped off by this scoundrel right behind. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's a rogue. The rogue's bed. Okay.
The rogue.
All right. Yeah. Great. Okay. Leaving a store, I returned to my car only to find that I'd locked my keys and cell phone inside. A teenager riding his bike saw me kick a tire and say a few choice words. "What's wrong?" he asked. I explained my situation. But even if I could call my wife, I said, she can't bring me her car keys since this is our only car. He handed me her cell phone and said, "Call your wife and tell her I'm coming to get her key. That's 7 miles round trip. Don't worry about it." An hour later, he returned with my key. I offered him some money, but he refused. "Let's just say I needed the exercise," he said. Then, like a cowboy in the movies, he rode off into the sunset.
A teenager?
A teenager on
That's
a bike.
so sweet. That's really, really, really sweet.
Whenever I think of like sweet teenagers, I always think of Sully. I'm like, he would do that.
He would. He is a sweet, sweet boy.
He's a sweet boy.
Because his mother is amazing.
That's right. I mean, that's where he gets it from, obviously. One evening, I left a restaurant just ahead of a woman assisting her elderly mom. I approached the curb and paused to see if my arthritic knees could climb it. To my right appeared an arm to assist. It was that of the elderly mom. My heart was so touched. It was like she was being supported, and then she reached out to support someone else. It was just like a chain of support, and I love it.
That's really sweet.
I love it so much.
Did I tell you in my office, they were doing, my office shares an office with another company. I don't want to like say who the company is, but it's an all woman run company, which I think is so great. And they're all badasses. But anyway, they were having a day. They work in a field where they take a lot of crap sometimes from people. And there was one person in particular that was being really horrible to them. And one of them said, God, people are such a-holes, this is like, why are people so terrible? And one of the other women decided to do this experiment where they took 2 jars, and one said like one was for every time somebody did something nice, and one was for every time someone was an asshole. And then they put these little like puffs in the jars because her mission was to prove that more people are nice than are assholes. Yeah. And she did. And I thought that was just really cool. It just kind of pumps everybody up when you walk past the jars and you see the nice one filled. Yeah. And the one of people being assholes way smaller. It just really like lifts your spirits.
Well,
it's
and
nice.
I think that like just like like evolutionary or biologically, we are like our brains hold on to things that are like an affront to us, like things that make us upset, because it's like that's
protection.
Yeah, protection, right? Like we should ward against danger. And so you just don't remember things that like where you were happy as much as you do times when you're upset. And so that's one of those things where you like people say, well, when you are in a situation where you are feeling happy, you should stop and say like literally say, "I feel so happy right now," because that will like mark it in your brain in the same way that your brain marks sad things. So like, yeah. So if you're like, say like tomorrow, like you and I went out to dinner and we were having a great time and you were so happy because you got to have dinner with such cool people. And then you would just say in the moment, I'm just so happy I'm here right now.
That you picked up the check.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that you paid for this whole meal.
Exactly. Thank you, Anna.
And all of our drinks. Thanks, Anna. Yeah, Anna paid for me and Sally.
That was so nice.
This makes me so happy, Anna. Poor thing, she's not even gonna know what hit her tomorrow.
Right.
Just slide the check over to Anna and be like, we're so happy. We're so happy.
Does it make you happy that we're happy? Okay. I love that puffball thing. That's so.
I know.
That's really great.
I think it's a really great lesson. Like, I want to make my kids do it too. You know,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime you're like, oh, people suck. It's like, oh, but do they? Let's do an
More people are
experiment.
nice. Yeah.
And then you have to be honest about when people are nice and when they're
Right.
rude. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I saw a dress in a consignment shop that I knew my granddaughter would love, but my money was tight, so I asked the store owner if she could hold it for me. May I buy the dress for you? Asked another customer. Thank you, but I can't accept such a gracious gift, I said. Then she told me why it was so important for her to help me. She had been homeless for 3 years, she said, and had it not been for the kindness of strangers, she would not have been able to survive. I'm no longer homeless and my situation has improved, she said. I promised myself that I would repay the kindness so many had showed me. She paid for the dress, and the only payment she would accept in return was a heartfelt hug.
Aw, that's really sweet.
It's like another,
Good
like
people.
all the karma, right? It's like somebody does something, you do something kind for someone, and you may not see that return to you, but it's going to be returned to somebody else down the line. Like the kindness, kindness is never wasted. It's always going to move on. I mean, unless somebody's an asshole, then.
Sometimes people are. Did you ever open the door for a dude in particular, and then they're like, they just shove right past you and don't say thank you? That pisses me off so bad. I want to like unhold the. I'm like, no, get back out there.
Let's try this again.
Yeah.
Or like you let somebody merge in traffic and they don't even give you a wave, and you're just like, you're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Definitely.
I'll just do a couple more. This one made me tear up for a specific reason that I'll say. But okay, so this one is: a woman at our yard sale wore a perfume that smelled heavenly and familiar. What are you wearing? I asked. White shoulders, she said. Suddenly, I was bowled over by a flood of memories. White shoulders was the one gift I could count on at Christmas for my late mother. We chatted a while, and she bought some things and left. A few hours later, she returned holding a new bottle of white shoulders.
Oh, that
I
is
don't
so
recall which one of us
sweet.
started crying first.
Oh my God, that's so sweet.
I know. And that's like, when I read that, I was like, oh my God, that's what my grandma wore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she always wore white shoulders.
I don't think I
to,
ever
like,
even
joke
heard
about
of
it.
that. I remember white diamonds. Diamonds.
Was that was the Liz...
Liz Taylor.
What's her name? Liz Taylor, yes.
Yeah, You know, it's so funny. Speaking of acts of kindness, just this morning, I heard my dog going crazy. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning. I usually get up at 6:15 anyway to go to yoga, but it was 6 a.m. And then I see like a Marco Polo coming through on my phone. It's Dustin, and he's like, I tried to shut my car the lights off. I didn't want to wake Ruthie. I didn't want to wake you. I left a little treat for you on your back porch, and he's like, and I left some stuff for the kids and one extra little thing for you. He's so sweet because like it's funny because I was literally just thinking like that I wanted a fondue set, and I was on Amazon like looking up fondue sets. And
really?
Like, yeah. And then he was like, do you want this fondue set? And so he gave it to me, but he put in the little bag some treats for the kids. But then he gave me a bottle of Cher perfume. I haven't smelled it yet because it was 6 a.m. and I couldn't stomach it anymore. But I was like,
oh, that's right, because he was talking about it when we went over there for game night. He was, remember, he was like, would you want Cher perfume?
I'm like, sure.
And you were like, yes.
I haven't smelled it.
I bet it's amazing.
If I could turn back time. I have to smell it, and maybe it will turn back time. But
maybe it will.
Yeah, that was nice. It was just, the whole thing was just very funny because it was so early in the morning.
What was he doing there so early? That's
because he gets up and he goes to the gym so early in the morning. So that's why we talk all the time, because we have those like early morning hours you know?
Yeah,
But,
I got up yesterday and went to the gym early, and I was like, "There's so many fucking people here. What is happening? Where have
Yeah.
I been?" It was like 7 a.m. and it was packed.
the thing is, I think I get up early to go to yoga. I get up at 6:15, but there are people that get up at like Dustin gets up at 5 to be at the gym at like 5:30, 6 o'clock. My friend Carly gets up at like 5 a.m. to go to the gym
No.
and be back. I can't do that early. That's crazy.
No, it's crazy.
I
I already
know.
want to be asleep by 9. I can't wake up at 5.
And the reason I like hot yoga at 6:15, well, my class starts at 7:15, but the reason that I like it so much is because the first part of it, you just lay on the floor and you go back to sleep.
And then the last part,
And then
you
you
lay on the floor.
slowly move. Yeah.
That's my favorite part, when they put that towel on your face and it smells like
Oh, yeah.
lavender.
Peppermint lavender.
That's my
It's
favorite.
good shit. It's good shit. Tell you what, you've never seen a yogi more upset than when their towel gets skipped. And it's like so peaceful and everybody gets their towels and then you hear them like, "You forgot me! You forgot."
Where's my cooling towel? I need my lavender scent.
That's some good shit.
That's great. Okay,
I know.
I'll do one more. Let me find a good one. And this one is, just for the season. In January 2006, a fire destroyed my family's home. In that fire were all the belongings of a 6-year-old boy, including his Christmas presents. A classmate from his school who had a birthday around then asked her parents if she could give all her gifts to the boy. That act of kindness will forever warm my heart because that boy is my grandson. So sweet.
That is so sweet.
So I think I was in high school, or maybe I was even early college, but my mom had to file for bankruptcy, and so we lost our house and she moved into an apartment. I think I was already in college at this point. She moved into this little apartment, but she was such a proud person. So she was determined. We were all coming home for Christmas, and she was like, "I'm going to make this a great Christmas." And she saved all her money all year long, and she got us all these presents, and she had them out in the car because she never brought shit in. But then the night before Christmas, somebody stole all of the presents out of her car.
God, that's awful.
And then her friends helped her, took her shopping so that she could have presents for us. Isn't that so nice?
That's really sweet. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But she was so, she was so devastated because she had worked so hard to make a Christmas for us, even though we were in college. We were,
but
I'm
still,
sure we still want to. Yeah, we were still
kids.
But
yeah. Well, that's one puff in the asshole jar for the person that stole the stuff.
I know.
And 5 puffs in the jar for all the friends that helped.
I know.
So the good still wins.
The good still wins.
Or person who stole, well, it'll come back to them.
That's right. I hope they enjoyed my
exclamation perfume.
I was gonna say my Esprit skirt. Hope you fucking enjoyed it.
Remember? Yeah, it was now we're on a roll with scents that remind you of things like exclamation and electric youth.
Oh
I would love to just get one whiff of electric youth right now, just to get that.
Yeah, my high school the scent that I wore was that everybody wore was Gap Grass.
Oh yeah,
I think, or all those Gap.
Yeah, Heaven. I used to wear Heaven.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
And yeah. So Erin, my best friend, wore Heaven, and I wore Grass. And so we always these are our scents, and I wish I could find them.
Yeah, Sunflowers. That was another one.
That was another one that I did not like. But yeah, those Gap scents. Those really bring back.
Guy smelled like Cool Water.
Cool Water. Oh, or
Jacquard
Noir. Jacquard. I can't say it.
I thought it was Jacquard Noir.
It is.
Should I Google it? Okay.
No, I just can't say it. My mouth decided it did not want to form those words. Okay, well that's my
I love
list.
it.
I wanted to say quickie, but
there's
a lot more if you want to read it. It's on Reader's Digest.
I love that.
If you want to
For the
cry.
holiday season.
Mm-hmm.
Crying.
We love a good cry.
I love it. I remember when I had gotten tickets to Beyonce like forever ago. Zach surprised me with tickets to Beyonce, and I posted about it, and Ashley Hesseltine was like, "I hope you like." She was like, "Get ready to cry the whole time," and I was like, "I love crying."
And did you?
Like,
did you cry?
Beyonce crying? It definitely like I mean, you are changed after going to a Beyonce show.
I was so bummed that I'm not great at planning that far ahead, but I wish I was like had it on the radar to buy Beyonce tickets like
next
so
time.
far ahead.
But
yeah,
now
next
they're so
time.
expensive. Like I won't buy the $1,000 tickets because
No.
I've already been twice and paid reasonable amounts of money for the tickets. I'm not going to pay $1,000 now. Sorry, Beyonce. Sorry. I do still love you so much. Okay, my list for this week comes from an article for BuzzFeed written by Angelica Martinez. And it is people are revealing the worst lies their parents told them, and they're not what you're expecting.
I love it.
Yeah. I've only read a couple, so I'm excited to like get into this. Yeah.
Yeah.
This one says, in order to get me to stop sucking my thumb when I was really young, my mom told me that if I kept on doing that, it would turn red, then purple, and then fall off. I ignored her warning and kept doing it. One night while I was sleeping, my mom dyed my thumbs red. I woke up and freaked out, but quickly resumed sucking my thumb. The next night, she dyed it purple. I freaked out so bad that I never sucked on it again. That is... That's a lot. Yeah. I mean, but you do what you gotta do, right?
I guess. I mean, I just think, it's like your kid's not going to suck his thumb when he goes to college. Like, it's probably fine. It's probably fine.
And it's like, well, there are people that still suck their thumbs as adults. There are adult thumb suckers.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah. So
you gotta soothe yourself somehow.
That's true. I mean, it's not like the baby was doing drugs. It's just sucking his thumb.
Max was never a thumb sucker, or he never sucked his thumb or took like a pacifier, and he was such a bad sleeper. And I always just like really wished he would do one of those things to learn how to like soothe himself, because he would just like could not put himself to sleep, could not fall asleep. It was he still is like has to be attached. Like we still lay with him to go to sleep.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Better watch out or you'll be doing that in college.
Can you imagine like, Mom, scoot over.
Can you come over to my dorm? Okay. One night I went downstairs to ask my mom something. My dad was a light sleeper and would get really pissed off if I woke him up. So I whispered, Mom, Mom. All of a sudden, my dad sat up and yelled at me to get lost. They told me I should never sneak up on them because they had a gun, and my dad thought I was an intruder and almost shot me. They scared the bejesus out of me. Sometimes when I tried to sleep, I'd remember how my dad almost shot me. For years, even after I moved out. Decades later, I mentioned it to my mom, and she started laughing, and she told me they were having sex. There was no gun.
Oh, good job for those parents. I like that.
I know, but I mean, just like the fear that she instilled, or that they instilled. Oh my God, that's so crazy.
Isn't that fun? Like, it is funny that like little things that parents or grandparents, whoever, can say that like stick in a kid's mind and they believe. Like, I've probably said this before on the podcast, but I remember my grandpa told me when I was really little, he was like, oh yeah, grandparents are made of sugar, so we can't go out in the rain or we'll melt.
Right, yeah.
And I was like so worried. I like literally believed him probably until I was 8 and was like, oh.
Oh yeah, like my uncle told me that if you ate watermelon seeds, you would grow watermelons in your stomach. So I would like freak out about every time I ate watermelon. Yeah, it's not cool to lie.
Not cool to lie to little kids.
This one said, I told the story on the first episode of The Ridiculous. about how like I went when I was little and I went to a birthday party for who I thought was like a rich friend of mine, and because she had limos all the time in her driveway but I later learned it's because her dad was a limo driver. But when they had Pee Wee Herman come to her birthday party, I legitimately thought it was actually Pee Wee Herman. I was 20 years old and telling people I'd met Pee Wee Herman.
I do remember that.
And then my mom was like, no, you didn't. Like, no, I totally, yeah. Lies stick with you is what I'm saying. Okay. This one says, my parents told me that if I were lying, there would be bubbles on my tongue. So when they asked me something and they thought I was lying, they'd tell me to stick out my tongue. If I knew I was telling the truth, I'd open my mouth confidently and show them my bubble-free tongue. If I was lying, I'd try to scrape the bubbles off with my teeth. I now use it on my son. It still works. That's like evil genius.
That is evil genius.
Oh my God.
I mean, maybe if you have a kid that's like a compulsive liar, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of an innocent, funny way to like,
Yeah. And, I guess what's the greater, like, it's like the greater thing is that now you've taught your children to not lie, which is great. Yeah. This one is really funny. This one says, my parents told me that if I misbehave, Michael Jordan would retire. I remember so vividly the first time he retired, and then I did everything they told me, and he came back out of retirement. Oh my God.
Oh my God. They were like,
that
what a stroke of luck.
So funny. Yeah. And like, can you imagine like what kind of power this person thought that their parents held?
Right.
Like it yielded was like, they can make Michael Jordan retire and come out of retirement.
Oh, that's
so
amazing.
Funny. This one is a little dark. This one says that my mother is schizophrenic. I was 15 and I knew she had been battling for years. Schizophrenia runs in our family, and as an angsty teenager, it was very easy for me to believe that she was mentally ill. She was completely convinced that my father had a second family. She was diagnosed and medicated for years. As it turned out, he did have a second family. So she was like gaslit into thinking she had schizophrenia. Is that what you're getting from this?
Yeah, that's what I'm getting. That
like
is
so fucked up.
That like she was led to believe she was so paranoid that she had schizophrenia. That
father is a fucking asshole. Oh God. Sadly, that just used to happen all the time. What was I was just reading something about the Britney Spears autobiography.
Yeah.
All the men in her family, every time there was a woman was like sad or depressed or they thought they were like over the women, basically the husbands would have their in Jamie Spears's family, her father's family, they would commit the women. Like there was one woman who her grandmother had had lost a child the child was a very young age, and of course that's gonna like rip your heart out, and it's gonna take you a while to get over that, and I don't know if you ever really get over it. And rather than like nurturing this woman and taking care of her, they committed her. And then that's what happened to Britney Spears.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like that's their family solution every time a woman is upset. Is like
a hysterical woman.
Yeah, hysterical woman.
Oof.
It's so fucked.
That's so fucked.
This says that my parents had no idea what that weird smell was in the basement when I was a kid. From around 8 years old to about 16, my mom would go down to the laundry and my stepdad would go down to talk to her. I thought for the longest time it was just their little adult gathering place. They even had their friends go down there as well. When they went down a few minutes later, I would smell this odd smell. As I got older and got in high school, I finally found out what the smell was through my more rebellious sister. It was weed.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah, we had one of my friends had a stepdad that was like a huge weed smoker, and when we finally realized like, she was like, I think my stepdad smokes weed, because she was like smelling it all the time. She just didn't know. And then that's where we stole our weed from.
Yeah.
From her stepdad. Like, well.
That's what it's there for, to steal.
That's what it's there for. Yeah. And what could he say,
Yeah. My friend Corey used to babysit for a couple that always had weed hidden around the house.
Oh, that's
And
funny.
yeah, we would
I
take
don't know
that.
if I would hide weed around the house with small children.
Yeah, it was one child, but yes.
Yeah.
Like, but it was, I wouldn't hide weed around the house with a teenager babysitter.
Oh,
You know, and that's the
right.
thing. It's not the
Yeah.
child, it's the teenager babysitter. They're gonna snoop and stuff. Like my mom's always, I have 2 cousins that are in college,
Mhm.
and she's always like, why don't you have Hunter and Noah watch the house for you? Why don't you have Hunter and Noah come stay at your house while you're out of town with the dog? And I'm like, no, like I'm gonna let these college kids come to my house with I have lots of wine, I have lots of you know what I mean, like stuff for entertainment. I have stuff like I don't need
No.
them in here with all their friends. Like no, I love them and I want to say I trust them, but I also know what college kids do because I was, I did all those things. So
Yeah, exactly.
anyway, I know. But anyway, this one is really funny. This one says, I would hide in the pants. Hold on. Let me say that. I would hide in the pants displays at Walmart as a child. To get me to stop running off, my mom told me, you know how they make shorts, don't you? A man comes by with a chainsaw and cuts the pants into shorts. If you're inside the rack, he'll cut you in half. That is creative. Oh my God, that's so funny. This one says,
apparently when I was like really young, I mean, I was like always very shy. And apparently when I was a kid, we'd be shopping and I'd be gone and I'd be like in the middle of the clothes racks, just like hiding because I needed a quiet space.
Oh, we were always running off for sure. This one says, up until I was 8 years old, my parents told me that my daddy was away at college. We would go see him on the weekends. Years later, I found out that he was actually in prison. I wondered why we could only talk to him behind a glass telephone.
That's heartbreaking.
This one is crazy. This one says, let's get your DNA. The lie is, let's get your DNA banked in case you die in a fiery plane crash and we need to identify your remains. It was all an elaborate lie to cover up for the fact that they were doing a paternity test 20 years after the fact. Wow. Yeah. This one says, they told us that if we didn't brush our teeth before bed, mice would climb into our mouths and eat the food between our teeth. That's why your mouth tastes gross in the morning. When you don't brush, the mouse poops in there. Oh my God. These are
People
crazy.
have some crazy imaginations.
Yeah. This one says that my parents couldn't afford to pay for college. I took a job during the day and paid my way through night and weekend school. Turns out I had a decent trust fund from my grandfather. I could have graduated and started working for a higher wage 4 years earlier. I tell myself that graduating in 2008 wouldn't have been a good idea anyway. That's really fucked up that you had a trust fund and you didn't know about it. Yeah.
Fucked up. I mean, was it that they felt like, oh, we want this kid to learn the value of hard work? Like,
I mean, it'd be one thing if once they graduated, you handed them over the trust fund.
I mean, he must have, right? Like,
I guess.
I don't think you can't legally keep that. I know, like, my dad in college, like, basically was like, I'll pay for your college as long as you will have to X amount, and then you'll have to take out loans for the rest of it, and you have to work. Like, that was his deal, was I had to work every semester in order to, like, for him to pay for it. And then when I graduated, it turned out that he had taken out, since I was like a baby, those like government bonds, and he gave them all to me, and it was like enough to cover my student loans.
Oh wow.
When it was more like, it was like a lesson, right? Like, it was like, you should be invested in your education as much as I am and whatever. And then instead of paying off my student loans, I used it to live in Chicago. I didn't make enough money to live, but I just wanted to live there anyway. And so I still have student loans to this day. So there you go.
So,
so
your dad's plan worked.
Maybe don't teach your kid a lesson, Dad.
Yeah, Dad. This one's funny, and it reminds me of something my dad did. Says they told me that mannequins in clothing stores were kids who didn't behave. They were taken to the dungeon in the store where they would promptly be turned into mannequins. How horrifying is that?
That's
But
so horrifying.
This reminds me of a thing my dad used to do. My dad used to tell us that if it's this whole like, it all started with this. He's Irish, and there's this like Irish folklore thing that's been handed down. It's a story called Johnny Greenpants, and it's been handed down every single generation, and they all change it to be about. It's basically about this like little boy who misbehaves, and then a fairy comes and tells him like, Johnny, you need to be nice to your parents, and if you don't, then I'm going to take you to the blank, and all you can eat is blank and blank. And so like my dad's version was, and if you misbehave, then I'm going to take you to the sanitation where all you can eat is mustard and mayonnaise, because my dad's like two least favorite foods. So he would tell us the story all the time that like, if we misbehaved, like just like Johnny Greenpants, we would go get taken to the sanitation and could only eat mustard and mayonnaise. But I cannot tell you how many times we would be like driving and us kids would be fighting in the back seat or whatever. And then my dad would pull over into some like building and be like, you know where we are? And we would be like, no, Dad, no. And he was like, where's the sanitation? Get out of the car. And we were like, no, please, no. Like, I swear we'll be good. I promise. And he was like, go to the sanitation. And then my mom would be like, stop it, Tom. Tom, stop it. I know. But so that was my family lie, I guess. Okay, I'll read just a couple more. My mom told me that if I was a pack rat, that meant actual rats would come and make nests in my things. I was about 7 at the time and had been tossing toys and clothes behind a little couch in my room as a method of cleaning. After she told me about what being a pack rat meant, I tearfully knelt on the couch and bent with a bent wire coat hanger, fishing the things out, terrified of rats. Oh my God.
She's not totally wrong.
Oh my God. I'll end it on this one because this one's so funny. This one says that UPS truck was the up past sleep time man. And he collected children who didn't go to bed on time. Goddamn, I was scared of parcels.
That's amazing.
That is so funny.
I mean, I could maybe
sleep time man.
I could maybe get Max to believe that if the up past sleep time man didn't always come to our house. Wasn't constantly at our house.
Oh, I know. Oh my God. How terrifying.
I remember one of my friends in New York told her kid that because in New York City, the ice cream trucks are around all the time. Like it's a huge thing.
Mr. Softy.
I love it. I miss like a Mr. Softy at the, like when you're at the playground, all of a sudden Mr. Softy comes. Such exciting time. I mean, I was excited as an adult, but she told her toddler that the ice cream song she's like, oh, that's the dance party truck. And so anytime we hear the song, we dance, but she wouldn't tell them that it was ice cream. She was like, yeah, it's a dance party truck. And so they would just like dance when, but then they didn't know that there was ice cream nearby, which is great.
I'm trying to think if I have any lies that I've told my kids. I mean, I think they're just like, when they go to other friends' houses, they're just really shocked by like, oh my God, you're allowed to drink soda? Because I don't. Right. I've loosened up a little bit, and I'll let them have it here and there. But I used to have like a hard no soda rule, and like, when they would have their dessert, it would be like 2 cookies. Like you're allowed to have 2. Yeah. They like when they go to their friends' houses and they see like their friends eating like a sleeve of Oreos, they're like, the fuck? Should we get into our top 5s for this week?
Let's do it.
Okay.
This week, our top 5s are top 5 podcasts.
Yeah.
So I don't know about you, but I decided that I wasn't going to put any friends podcasts on the list. Because I feel like there are so many, like we have so many friends who have podcasts, who have great podcasts. And I just was like, I'm just going to take that out of the equation so I don't have to choose.
Okay. Sure.
Is that
I agree, but I did one that's a Friends. But
okay.
truly, yeah, it's great. Okay, but you go first.
Okay. So
Okay.
my number 5 podcast, and this is one I've been listening to for years and years. I think it's been around since like 2006. It's been around for really like one of the first podcasts that I ever listened to, and it's called Stop Podcasting Yourself. Have you ever
What's
listened to it?
that? No.
It's these two Canadian comedians, and like I generally don't like. I used to, when everybody was started podcasting, I listened to a lot of comedy podcasts, like, but now I just did like, I don't know, I just don't want to listen to comedy podcasts anymore. But I think because these are Canadians and because they have a lot of Canadian comedians on, and it's people I
Fresh,
don't
it's
know.
not comedians, yeah.
It's not somebody that I've worked with. I'm not, it's not like listening to people I know. And it's just really, it's so positive and like lighthearted. They're just very fun. And they have this segment that they do at the end that is called Overheards. And it is where people report crazy things they've overheard. And it is so funny. And people will call in and be like, oh, I was walking down the street and I overheard this, like just out of context things that are so nuts. And that is my favorite.
Oh, that's awesome. I love
it. Yeah.
Cool. I'll check that out. My number 5, this is my friend, but it is a great podcast. It's Keep It Cooking with Dustin Harder. I have to.
It's a great podcast.
It's also a great podcast. I love cookbooks. Like, so it's about cookbooks, and he interviews cookbook authors about their cookbooks and the process, what their favorite recipes are. It's really good. I have a cookbook, I was about to say fetish. Like, I just rub them all over my body. No, I love cookbooks. I have like a Sunday morning ritual of I have to sit at the table with my coffee and my cookbooks out, and I pick my recipes for the week and I write them down, like my ingredients, and then I go shopping and then I cook all day long. It's my Sunday ritual. And so I highly recommend it if you are a cookbook fanatic.
Yeah, I love that. Like, I mean, you guys know Dustin because we've had him on the podcast. He was our only guest we've had so far, and everybody loved him so much, which you should. He's amazing. But it's like you get those little like inside stories from like cookbook authors. It's so amazing.
Yeah.
So I also recommend that podcast. It's
okay.
Good one. But I didn't put on my list because I
know you have. I get it.
I nixed all friends. Okay, so my number 4 is 30 for 30.
I love 30 for 30.
I love 30 for 30. I especially, it's been several years since this. They do different series that are like basically deep dives into something that is like sports adjacent. But they did one on like Bella Caroli. They did one on Bikram yoga, which was crazy.
That's a good one.
There was a whole series on Donald Sterling, who was the owner of the Clippers, who like got taken down because he was a racist asshole and like had to sell all of his shares. So yeah, I mean, even though I am not a sports fan, I think they're like reporting and like how in depth they go on these stories. And maybe it's because I don't know anything about them. I find it fascinating.
Yeah. Like I don't like sports at all, but I love 30 for 30. And the way to get me to like sports is like, I need to know, like, I don't need to know like the player's stats. I need to know like, is he dating the girl that used to be married to the other guy on the team? And did they have a fight one time? And did they used to play on the same team and they were best friends and now they're not because this happened and that there was drama with that or a deal gone wrong? I need the drama. And then I can appreciate why they're fighting.
Right? Give me the human story. That's what we want. We want the scandal
story. Yeah. It's just like on like American Idol where they show like the sob story before. And so you get to like know the contestants and you root for them. There needs to be that in like football games and stuff. Like I want to hear those like backstories,
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. My number 4 is, and now this is technically somebody I was friends with in high school, and I still we're not really in communication. Sometimes we make Instagram comments to each other, but I would consider her a friend. But she's This is called I Saw What You Did, and it's by Danielle Henderson and Millie DeCherco. Millie DeCherco, I know we went to high school together. We actually went to film school together. She's amazing. But I love, love, love this podcast. It's truly one of my favorites, not because I know Millie. It's because it's what they do. It's two film experts, and they talk about movies, and they do a double feature. So every week it's a different theme, and they talk about two movies. And it's like chicken soup for the film nerd soul, but it's in such a way that's approachable and not snobby at all, and real. And they are truly experts. Like, they know what they're talking about, and they're so smart, and they're so well educated. They've written books. They're so funny. And their friendship's so great. But they make it so fun and not snobby, and like you're being like educated. Like, they're just truly just talking about the movie, and it's so fun. I love it.
I agree with you that I haven't listened to it a ton, but I have listened to it some. I think I'm sure on your recommendation, but like, I'm not a movie person. I don't watch a ton of movies. I don't watch, like, I'm just, Ben yesterday, he was like, you just don't consume pop culture. Like, you just don't know what's going on. And I was like, I know, isn't that weird? Like, I don't know why. I just never know anything that's happening. But he like, I've listened to it a couple times, and it really was like, it is so approachable. You're right, their dynamic is awesome, and I felt like, oh, this is like a movie podcast that I can listen to, because it's not like they're not talking about movies in a way that is inaccessible.
Yeah. And they're not talking down to you, like, you don't like, let me tell you, actually, it's like
Right.
the opposite of mansplaining in every sense. So I love it. What's your next one?
Okay, my number 3 is My Dad Wrote a Porno.
Oh, right. I remember you telling me about that.
Have you listened?
I listened to a little bit, and then I fell off, but I need to get back into it.
So
I've heard like, a lot of people say that it's one of the funniest things they've ever heard.
It is. So the series is over now, but there were 6 or 7. They did seasons, and it was, if you haven't listened to it, it is a British actor, comedian whose dad literally wrote like pornographic novels, and they're so bad. They're like self-published, and he, and then another, woman who's like a presenter in the UK, and a guy who's a producer, and they're all friends from college, and they sit around, and he reads a chapter an episode, and then they just riff on it, and it is like, it's so bad. There's nothing erotic about it. It is so bad and so funny that I would be, when I first started listening to it, like, I'd be in the shower, like crying, laughing, and then be like, what are you listening to? I'm like, oh my God, you have to. Don't listen to it around your kids. But it is, it's amazing. So funny.
I need to try it again. I'm looking for new podcasts. My number 3 is, it was originally a stage show, and then it was a documentary, and then a book, and now it's a podcast called Mortified. Have you ever heard any of the Mortified series?
Yes, I love Mortified.
It.
Oh,
it's basically so people reading from their high school diaries, or their diaries when they were young, or like old love letters, or old whatever. Like, and it's so fun, and the way cathartic for these people to like read these most embarrassing stories, but they're so relatable, and just, oh my God, it's so funny. I love it so much.
Oh, it's great. And like the documentary, they go through the process of how it's just so well curated, right? Like, they really do such a good job. It's not just somebody like reading their diary with no, like, they make it so that it is like, there is a story and there's a point, and everyone is so well done.
Oh my God, the first time I watched the documentary, I cried so hard, like, out of laughter. It was just the funniest thing I'd ever seen, and I consume it in every way that I can. I have the books, I've like listened to the podcast. So good.
Do they do the show here? Have they brought it here?
No, it's funny you say that because I reached out to them and because they don't have one in Atlanta, and I sent them an email and I was like, "Hi, I'm a comedian and producer here in Atlanta, and I just love it, and I think that like I could really, I think I could get something going here in Atlanta, and I'd love to be a part of it." And I heard nothing.
Assholes.
Not a word. Mortified. Yet I still love them. I'm just going to choose to believe that, sometimes you read an email in a day, you're just not in the mood, and then you shut it and you never look back. And I'm just going to choose to believe that that's what happened. Or maybe they were like, "You're too good looking."
Yeah. We don't believe that you had any childhood
You're
angst.
so funny that you can't do this because it's too, you would be too funny and good looking.
Nobody would buy it. Yeah. I think that was it, Jen. I'm pretty sure that's it.
That's probably what happened.
Well, that was a great one. It just reminded me to resubscribe because I was using a different podcast app and then I switched and went back to Apple Podcasts. And so I just like forgot what I subscribed to. And so I was telling them, I have, like hardly listen to any podcast right now, but I do love Mortified. It's a really good one.
So good.
Okay. My number 2 is Off Menu, which I think I've talked about before. It is 2 British comedians, James Acaster and Ed Gamble. And they go through and they interview this is a huge podcast in the UK. I mean, it's pretty big here too, but it is like they tour like Royal Albert Hall. Like they're like huge, and they're also huge comedians over there. But they had like Stanley Tucci on. I mean, they've had like everybody on their podcast, but they come on and they give their dream menu. So they do their dream starter, their dream, main course, dream drink, what all of the things that if you were having, like, there's no boundaries, there's no like, oh, this has to, you have to be able to actually eat all of these things at once. It's like whatever your, like, one time my aunt made this one thing that I really loved, like that could be your dream starter, or you could have it in a certain place. So it's all, I mean, it's really great. And I love hearing people talk about food, but also they're very
me
funny.
too. I know. I need
great stories behind all of the reasons why
I definitely
people choose the foods.
It's called Off Menu.
Off Menu.
Okay, I'm definitely gonna look that up.
Yeah, it's great. I love it so much.
Okay, I love that. My number 2 is Celebrity Book Club with Chelsea Devantes, which has now been rebranded into Glamorous Trash with Chelsea Devantes.
Okay.
I'm a big celebrity memoir fan. I love
to. You read. I love the celebrity memes.
I know. I'm just fascinated by people. Like I want. Like I can't consume enough reality television. I love. Like I said with the sports, it's like I want to hear the what's the personal drama behind it, and like Mortify. Like I just love. I don't know. I just love like learning about other humans.
Yeah.
And so Celebrity Book Club is based off of celebrity memoirs, and it's so awesome. Sometimes like I listen to it because first of all, her episode talking about Britney Spears' memoir, which I listened to immediately after listening to Britney Spears' memoir. And it was just the most incredible episode. I actually, like, I'm such a nerd. I actually went on her Instagram and I was like, there needs to be a podcast about this podcast episode because it was just so in depth and perfect and good. Yeah. And she's so funny and she's so smart, and everybody that she has on are always like really great comedians or people in the industry. But I highly recommend it. Now the Glamorous Trash, she does like, she'll have episodes that are just based off of, like, she just did an episode talking about Golden Bachelor, which, is perfect because I can't get any friends to talk to me about the Golden Bachelor, and I really need to get it off my chest.
So, wasn't there like a big scandal with it?
Yes.
The Golden Bachelor?
Mm-hmm.
I read all about it.
I don't think he's who he says he is.
He's not.
But but it's so fun to listen to. I love it. And also sometimes I don't want to listen. Like Jada Pinkett's celebrity memoir was like 9 hours long or something. And like, I don't
Yeah.
want to listen to that, but I'll listen to the 1 hour episode of you telling me what happens in it. It's
Right?
perfect. So
it's like a Cliff's Notes.
yeah. And like, I wouldn't have listened to, I listened to her episode about Julia Fox, who I don't really care about Julia Fox. I know nothing about Julia Fox, but I listened to her episode about it and I was like, oh, I got to read that. And then, so then I read Julia Fox's memoir and it was great. And it was like, there was so much going on in it, but highly recommend, even if you don't like celebrity memoirs, just listen to her talk about it.
Yeah.
It's just like an hour of celebrity gossip.
All right.
Yeah, it's great.
I love it. Okay. All right. My number one podcast, and I've talked about this podcast a million times, but it is Maintenance Phase.
Oh, right.
So it is, this is a podcast that is talking all like debunking kind of the myths of diet culture and health and wellness, kind of the industry of health and wellness. And I think it is like a must, like it should be required listening for every health, like anybody who's working in the healthcare field, any doctor. It should be required listening for anybody who has not ever struggled with their weight. Like anybody who has any kind of like bias, which is all of us because we live in fucking society, against people who live in larger bodies. Like if you think you know what health and like if you think that like being skinny equals healthy, then like you need to go listen to this podcast because it's so well researched. It is so well, like they're funny, but they're also just like, this is what the actual research says. And this is what the bullshit we've been fed. So I think it's a really important podcast. It's like literally changed my life and literally changed the way that I like view myself and view people around me. And I think that like everybody should listen to it. And now I'm going to get off my soapbox.
No, that's awesome. Yeah. I did listen to a couple of episodes because I remember like years ago you recommended it to me.
Yes.
But I need to listen
there are a couple
again.
that I'll put in like our Instagram feed, but there are a couple of episodes that I really just think are like so powerful. And I just think everybody needs to listen to them. I really think everybody could benefit, whether it's like cathartic because you have struggled with your weight, or whether it is, or, any kind of bias in like just all these crazy like health claims and diet claims. And like, if you grew up in diet culture, then you need to listen to it. I think it is really healing.
Snackwell's family. I definitely grew up in a Snackwell's family.
I grew up in Snackwell's.
I was in Healthy Choice frozen meals.
I was at Weight Watchers at 12. Like, I mean,
same.
We were doing like the cabbage soup diet when I was like in middle school.
Mm-hmm. We grew up in the Olestra. The potato chips that made you shit your pants.
Yeah.
But they were good for you. And the Snackwells and the Healthy Choice meals, the Richard Simmons Deal meal, or we were talking about Susan Powder the other day, like all that. We totally grew up in that crazy
Kate Moss, just everybody's bodies being dissected on the front page of everything, like just the
fat free, cholesterol free.
Yes. Yeah. And you and I are both like straight sized women. We can shop at a general store. Like our experience, I think that like we have all been scarred by diet culture, but like our experience is nothing compared to somebody who is living in a plus size body, who like is not getting health care because like they're going to the doctor and they're like, I broke my arm, and they're like, well, lose some weight. Like it's probably because you're fat, like that is like a real thing. Or they're not getting jobs, or they're not, like people are outwardly like just biased against them just because of the body they live in, which is just such bullshit. So so anyway,
agreed.
I'll get off my soapbox, but I think that it is an important podcast for people to listen to. Yeah.
Thank you, Sally.
You're welcome.
Well, I'm going to proudly say that my number one podcast is about the housewives. the health of all women and
also
educating
fucking important.
people. Mine is called Bitch Sesh. It's so funny.
Yes.
It's with Danielle Schneider and Casey Rose Wilson.
Yeah.
And I just love it so much. Even if you don't like Housewives, like they are just so funny.
Yeah.
That, I love it so much. And they always have the best guests on. And again, I just can't consume enough watching people watching. I call it
Yeah.
people watching. It's not really that I like, because I am kind of selective about my reality TV.
Yeah, you don't just indiscriminately watch.
Yeah, but I like documentaries just as much as I like, some reality shows, just because I love watching people be people. And I was just talking about this the other day with someone about how it's just such a weird thing that we can now, like, people's lives are so documented on screen, not only on screen and on phones and on whatever, and it's like to go back and watch old episodes of something that happened, of like, say, the first season of Real Housewives of Orange County, and go back and watch these women living these lives, and as a voyeur, you're like, oh my God, you have no idea how much your life is going to change.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are going to get divorced and you guys are not going to be best friends anymore. And then you're going to be a fucking billionaire.
Right.
You sell you're living in the smallest apart, like the Bethany Frankel. It's like, okay, you're the poor one in the group and you're living in a tiny one bedroom and you can't keep up in the circle of rich people, but you're going to be able to buy and sell every fucking one of these people.
Yeah.
And they're all going to be kissing your ass. Like, it's just so weird to like have the like future knowledge and look back at, or the current knowledge and look back at these people and know what's going to happen to them. It's so weird.
Yeah, that is. Can
you imagine watching yourself?
No, right?
Like if you were watching yourself in a TV show from 10 years ago, and
I would hate that.
Oh God, yeah.
Although you'd probably be like, "You look great. Good for you." I remember thinking that I looked bad in that, but yeah, you look great.
You look so young. Yeah. But
well, that's a good way. And my which was like a runner up for me was the deep dive, which is I feel like is like
they're friends.
The companion.
It's kind of a
It's not. I mean, it's June Diane Raphael and Jessica St. Clair, who are other comedians, but they're like best friends with Danielle Schneider and
they're
and
regularly on Bitch Sesh too. So it was definitely, I want to say, feels like a spinoff in a way, but it's not. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that too. Because it's the same kind of thing where it's like they actually like talk about the details of their lives, and I find that fascinating. And they are celebrities, but they don't talk about their lives as celebrities. You know what I mean? So anyway, I enjoy that. So so we want to hear, what are your favorite podcasts? What are you listening to right now? Because I could use some new podcasts. I'm for it.
Yeah, I need some new entertainment.
And thank you guys for listening. You can find us on Instagram. We're at The Ridiculous Pod. You can find us on TikTok at The Ridiculous Podcast. If you would go to Apple Podcasts, rate and review, tell a friend about the podcast. We would love that.
Please do all of those things. And we wouldn't be mad if you said that your favorite podcast was us.
We wouldn't be mad.
Even
though we are your friends.
But we do want to learn about new podcasts. Thank you guys so much for listening. We love you so much, and we'll see you next week on The Ridiculous.
Ridiculous, ridiculous, ridic.